Welcome to Storyteller, where I try to find the wildest story I can each week, and Teresa hears it all for the first time. I'm Courtney,
And I'm Teresa.
and do I have a special edition Yay Sports Super Bowl something story for you?
Yay, Bills! They should be in the Super Bowl. It's too bad that they're not. We won't go into the reasons why they're not in the Super Bowl, but
Yeah,
a lot of
the
mistakes were made during that game. So that's all.
conspiracies all around.
Yes.
What does it take to become an Iron Man? In the world of football, it takes 299 consecutive games, 3 consecutive MVP awards, and a right arm so powerful coaches swore the ball had smoke and flames trailing from it. For decades, Brett Favre was the ultimate hero of the gridiron, the golden boy and unthinkable odds. He was the face of rugged American perseverance. Didn't he have like a Wrangler's deal or something? He was advertising jeans there for a little bit.
Was he? I don't know.
But behind the highlight reels and the Hall of Fame induction lies a much darker playbook. What happens when the sporting legend decides that the rules and the law simply don't apply to him? From a history of addiction and a trail of harassment allegations swept under the rug by a protective league to the shocking discovery of millions of dollars diverted from the pockets of the poorest people in America to fund a private volleyball court. This isn't just a story about touchdowns and Super Bowls. It's the story about the cost of blind hero worship and a win at all costs mentality that followed a legend off the field and into the pockets of the needy. This is the story of Brett Favre and the Mississippi Swindle.
Great. I'm actually kind of surprised that you didn't go Aaron Hernandez, but I'm glad that you didn't.
I know. I
The
feel
Aaron
like
Hernandez
that's
story is just super sad all the way around and everything.
sad. It's sad from beginning to end. And so I was like, we're going to do this because I had to really research this one. And it's pretty interesting. I was like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
wow.
I started, for whatever reason, I started just researching it not too long ago. The whole
Really
Brett
funny.
Favre thing. Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That is so funny.
It's mainly because someone brought up, because we were, unfortunately, I was talking politics with somebody, which I never should do.
Didn't do
And we
that.
were talking about the Somalian daycares in Minnesota. And
Oh,
he said,
yeah.
well, what about Brett Favre and his,
Yeah.
50 million? So I was like, okay, well, let's do a deeper dive into this and see.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's
It's interesting. I'm like, okay, wow. All right. So let's see. I'm gonna try and switch to my teleprompter really quick. Hold on. There's a script and then there's a teleprompter thing. So I'm trying to figure out which one I like better. All right. Let's talk about Brett Lorenzo Favre. Like
that sounds gangster.
Lorenzo? Fuck right off. I couldn't believe that. I was like, I can't even move past this for a minute when I was researching, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
That tells you everything you need to know about the guy.
He was born on October 10th, 1969 to Bonita Ann French and Irvin Ernest Favre. He grew up actually in the tiny town of Kiln, Mississippi, just north of Gulfport, and his family tree is colorful. Brett is part French, and if you go back to the late 18th century, you'll find out that you'll find his ancestor Simon Favre, and Simon was like a big deal. He was a Louisiana Creole and influential figure in Spanish West Florida, but Simon was also busy.
What do you mean?
Brett actually descends from Simon's Choctaw Native American mistress.
Okay.
Has a lovely name, but I cannot pronounce it, and I don't want to slaughter it. So Pisticotticoni, think something like that. I don't know. Anyway,
I am not gonna make fun of you for that one.
Simon had 6 children with this woman, and like so many stories from that era, we have no idea if she was a willing participant in that relationship. Probably not. I mean,
Yeah.
for permission, it seems. By the time Simon passed away in 1813, he had left behind 13 children with three different women, and only one of them
Jesus.
was actually his wife's. Man was very busy. Like he does have some he did contribute to like the settlement of that area. It's not that he didn't do some great things, but he was also doing some fucking shady shit on the side. I'm sharing these fun facts because that might play into our story later. We might just see that being a horn dog is perhaps hereditary. Who knows? We'll see.
Only time will tell.
Brett was the second of four kids attending Hancock Public Schools, where both of his parents worked as teachers. So it's not like they were a wealthy family, his parents were people who were devoted to helping those in their community. You have to kind of be that to be a teacher, I feel like, and concerned with, the people around you, the children and everything. Apparently they didn't pass that down, but we'll see. By the time he hit Hancock North Central High, he was a two sports star in baseball and in football. In fact, he was so
Okay.
good at baseball, he was starting for the varsity team as an eighth grader. So he wasn't just good at football, he was really good at baseball too.
He was
And
like that one guy. Who's the one guy that played football and baseball?
wasn't
It was Bo something.
Michael Jordan? Didn't he go into baseball?
I think he did go to baseball. That's not who I'm thinking of though. It's
That's not who you're
Bo
thinking of.
Bo Diddley? Is that a name? Is Bo Diddley a name? Oh, look it
It's
up
Bo
now.
Lorenzo.
Oh no, he okay, there is a Bo Diddley, but he's a guitarist. So it's not that. It's not what I'm thinking about. I'll dash Sean. I don't know where my producer
Yeah.
went, but he'll know. But anyways.
Yeah. So, yeah, he was good at both of these, but football ended up being the main event. His father, Irvin, was the head coach, and now you'd think having a future Hall of Famer as a son would mean a pass-heavy offense, right? Wrong. Brett played everything: quarterback, lineman, strong safety, kicker, punter, which I'm assuming all of those things mean stuff to people who follow sports, but not I. Um
Wow.
Yay, sports. So, yeah, but he was also known to have some great, like, running backs. His Irvin knew his son had, like, a literal cannon for an arm, but he also knew he had some great running backs. So, for 3 years, Irvin ran the wishbone, a run-heavy offense where Brett rarely threw more than 5 passes a game. I don't know if I mentioned this later, but it sounds like Irvin was, like, never happy with his son. Like, it doesn't matter how high up Brett Favre goes, his dad will be like, "You won the Super Bowl. You should have done this, this, and this." So,
Yeah.
it seems he was like, "I know you're good, but whatever." So,
Wow.
yeah, it took a scout named Mark McHale from Southern Mississippi to see the potential. McHale had heard the rumors and went to watch Brett play. For 2 games, he sat there, bored, watching Brett hand the ball off over and over because of the plays his dad was having him do. But Mikhail was literally about to walk out when he finally saw Brett let a ball rip across the field. He later described the pass by saying the ball had smoke and flames coming off of it. So that was it. Southern Mississippi was like, hey, and that one throw earned Brett his only scholarship offer. Southern Mississippi originally wanted him as a defensive back, but Brett held his ground. He wanted to be center. Like, it says under center, and I was like, is that a real position or is that a typo? I don't know.
I don't
Um,
ever remember under center positions.
yeah, I was like, that can't be right. Yeah, I'm like, "That can't be." They tucked him away as a 7th string quarterback his freshman year, but that didn't last long. By the 3rd game of 1987 season against Tulane, he got his shot in the second half, and get this, Brett was royally hungover from the night before. He was literally vomiting during warm-ups, and yeah. They were like, "Suit up, big boy."
It's like, okay.
Yeah, he stepped onto that field and led the Golden Eagles to a come from behind victory with 2 touchdowns. He went on to start 10 games that year, winning 6 of them. Then came July 14th, 1990. It was just before his senior year, and Brett was in a near fatal car accident. He was rounding the bend right by his parents' house and he lost control. The car flipped 3 times and smashed into a tree. He was trapped inside until one of his brothers smashed the window with a golf club to get him out. In the ambulance, his mother's by his side. Brett had only one question: will I be able to play football again? So, bro,
Wow.
just yeah, and it didn't look good. Doctors had to remove 30 inches of his small intestine, but just 8 weeks later, 8 weeks, he led Southern Miss to a comeback against Alabama. And Crimson Tide coach Gene Stallings said it best: "You can call it a miracle or a legend. I just know on that day, Brett Favre was larger than life." So by the time he left college, he was a good at ball. Like everyone's like, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He had 15 games with over 200 passing yards, fourth in that school's history, and 5 300-yard games, the most in school history. And he led the team in passing and total offense for all 4 years. So basically, like, he's a phenomenon. He's killing it at football. That talent is what led the Atlanta Falcons to take him in the second round of the 1991 NFL draft. By this time in Atlanta, his time in Atlanta was short lived. I actually didn't even know. Like, I don't
I
think you
didn't
hear
know
about
he
his
was in the Falcons.
yeah, so, because next comes, just after 1 year, he was traded to the Green Bay Packers, and the rest is history. Like, we all know how he was. Like, I remember liking the Packers when I was a kid, and I think that's twofold. Like, grandpa didn't really care about, football, but he was from Wisconsin, so he's like, "I guess we're Packers fans," and then that's also when, like, Brett Favre was really good, so I was like, that must be why I think everyone was just Green Bay Packers fans back then. In week 3 of 1992, the starter, Don Majkowski, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that. He went down with an
He
injury,
sounds like
and
he should
Brett
be a
stepped
kicker.
yeah,
All the kickers have like that those ski names,
he
like the Polish
yeah,
kinda, Wazowski kinda names.
Wazowski.
Yeah. They get up to kick, you're like, "Oh, yeah, okay." So, yeah, he sounds like he should be a kicker.
Yeah, so Brett stepped in for him and didn't look back for the next 20 years. He led the Packers to their first winning season in a decade. He started a streak of 18 straight seasons with at least
Dang.
3,000 yards passing. Yeah. Again, I don't know shit about football, but I'm like, that seems good.
That does.
Yeah, he earned 11 Pro Bowl selections, and by 1995, he was the league MVP, leading Green Bay to 3 straight NFC championship games and 2 Super Bowls. 1996, he finally brought the Lombardi Trophy back to Green Bay with a 35-21 win over the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And I feel like Patriots are playing today, right?
They are playing today, yes,
I know, yeah, I have my snacks for the big game, and I
against
have
the
my little
Seahawks.
craft and the Seahawks. I need the Seahawks, but yeah, I've got my snacks and my craft to do while Casey watches the game. I'm like, football."
Who are we rooting
Um,
for?
oh,
Yeah.
well, I feel like I should go for Seahawks just because they're close to Montana, but then also Cardi B's boyfriend's on the Patriots, and she's a wily person, so I don't know. I just hope both teams have fun.
I just hope it's a good game.
Hope everyone has a great day with their besties playing some sports.
I made the mistake of saying that I was gonna root for the Patriots because 'cause they're still in the same conference as the Bills and everything, and
Okay.
holy shit, did I get a lesson in that. No. I was
So
like,
you're
it's
not
kinda
going
like when
to.
we root for the Bobcats when the Grizz aren't playing, and it is not the same thing,
It is not the
apparently.
same thing. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay.
So
Good
now,
to know.
yay, Seahawks.
So Brett spent 16 years in Green Bay, eventually passing Hall of Famer Dan Marino as for the all-time lead in attempts, completions, yards, and touchdowns. He had a brief stint with the New York Jets in 2008, and then a wild renaissance year with the Minnesota Vikings in 2009, where he had a
Which is
career high.
insane to me because the Packers and the Vikings are such a huge rivalry.
I know, like, well, you asshole. I figured that, like, I was aware of that but not super concerned, and then when I was doing research for this, everyone was like, "Die, Brett Favre."
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, so but it sounds like he was killing it. I mean, at age 40, he had a 107.2 passer rating at that age when he was with the Vikings, so very weird. I did know he was one of the guys. He was like a Brady that was like, "I'm gonna retire." Gotcha. "I'm gonna retire." Gotcha. So, but the dust finally settled and he officially retired on January 17th, 2011. And he was like the ultimate NFL Iron Man. He played a record 299 consecutive games, and his final stat line was 6,300 completions, 71,000 yards, and 508 touchdowns. So, it seems really good. I'm assuming it
Yeah.
is.
I honestly don't know stats. It's hard for me to keep up with those stats, and then also, like,
Right.
they just keep adding, like, an extra game onto the end of the season, so, like, when Favre was making
Oh,
those stats, there were, like, 15 games, and now they play, like, 17 ga or something like that, 16 games, so it's
okay.
just
I'm done.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Overall, it's not bad from the kid from Kiln, Mississippi, who started as a seventh stringer with a hangover.
Yeah.
So, pretty good. Yeah. But he's got some controversies. Surprise, surprise. Why else would we be talking to him? As it should be a little obvious. I don't know about shit. I don't know shit about football, but even like I can understand that Favre was an outstanding player. Like that all sounds really great. So, in fact, it was easy to see how he was the golden boy of Green Bay or of just football in general for many years. As we were saying earlier, this although the switch to the Vikings must have come as a devastating blow to some. But this episode is not about Brett Favre's incredible football career. I don't care. It's about the controversies and actions of a man who has been repeatedly covered up and swept under the rug since his arrival on the national football scene. Like, he's been pretty shady forever. Um, all people want to believe that their heroes are like great people behind, like you might be my football hero. I want to believe that you're a hero behind the curtain and everything. But Brett Favre is not. So let's start with his now wife, Deanna Favre. Deanna Tynes met Brett Favre while growing up in Kiln. They had attended school together since early childhood and began dating in high school during her sophomore year and Favre's freshman year. So she was 1 year older than him. After
That's kinda
graduating from high
sweet.
school, yeah, it sounds so wonderful. And
Little high
then
school sweetheart type of deal. Hot.
yeah, yeah. She attended when she graduated in 1986. She attended a community college in Poplarville on a basketball scholarship. Subsequently, transferring to the University of Southern Miss, where Brett was to finish her degree. But at age 19, Deanna became pregnant. And
I
when I
knew it.
read this, like, oh my God, shotgun wedding, y'all. Like, oh, they're gonna do these Southern kids. They're, no, there was no marriage. In an interview given to the Journal Times 9 years after the birth of their child, the former basketball player, Deanna, freely admitted that she was left devastated about the news of being pregnant at the time.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was really young. So, would you say?
I was like, I mean, it stopped her college career and everything, so yeah, of course she
Right.
would be devastated.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, however, Deanna and the father of the baby, Brett, both whom are very Catholic, very, very, very Catholic families, never even considered like terminating the pregnancy. Given their devotion to this faith, one might assume that Brett and his now wife, Deanna, had a shotgun wedding when she found out she was pregnant, but no, the pair had already vetoed the idea of walking down the aisle at the young age before learning they were to become parents. They were like, well, we weren't going to get married before now. We're not going to do it now. And it's kind of wild that their parents were like, we don't give a shit. Get married. So
Yeah.
they stuck to their word though, and it was a further 8 years before they finally said, I do. So these two did not get married right away. Anna gave birth to Favre's daughter, Brittany Nicole, on February 6th, 1989. And it proved to be a smart move as in the wake of daughter Brittany's Nicole's birth, Brett and Deanna's relationship became more on and off than they were just it was constant, it sounds like. They were back and forth. The latter explained to the Journal Times, there were times when we were broken up and we were seeing other people, but we still talked. He called Brittany every day, regardless of our relationship, whether we were fighting or whatever. He called her every single day. And that's about all he did. Even after Brett started earning mega bucks, going into the NFL and he's making more money than he's ever had. Deanna later said she still wanted to prove she could be an independent woman. And she
Good for her.
said, Yeah, she's like, "I never liked borrowing money and taking money, even from my parents. I always just worked. I worked my way through college as a single mother, and I never asked Brett for any child support." To that, I say, why did she have to ask homeboy?
Yes.
Homeboy set up that payment thing with the Falcons. You could have been like, "Let's do a little to Deanna." Like, if she doesn't want it, she can put it in savings for the kid. Like, Brett, what the fuck? So, yeah. So, after years of supporting just herself and daughter, Deanna finally graduated in 1994 with a degree in exercise science. Never heard that degree before. By 1994, Brett was in the middle of his Golden Boy status years in Green Bay. He was on a high. And in 1995, the couple decided to give their relationship one last try, and Deanna and Brittany moved up to Green Bay to be with him, only to be treated like shit by Brett. He was fucking awful. Yes. Deanna said that Favre often ignored her and Brittany completely. And then when he was talking to him, she described when he was talking to his, longtime girlfriend and daughter, she described him as loud, rough, and often hate, not great.
Fine.
The reason for his terrible moves became obvious, though, as she was there a little bit longer. He was horribly addicted to pain pills, like a development that would eventually result in him spending over a month in a rehab center. So she's like, "You can either go to rehab or we'll see you
Was
never."
that
And I
from the car accident?
no, it sounds like there was an injury early when he was at Green Bay. I wanna say his knee, but it
Okay.
sounds like yeah, and so it was something from that, and he was horribly addicted to painkillers, so uh, yeah, so during his recovery, he does go to rehab, and during his recovery, he finally decides to propose to Deanna, and they marry on July 14th, 1996. Which, I guess, girl, trouble was brewing before the ink was even dry on the marriage license. In her memoir, Don't Bet Against Me, Deanna revealed that shortly after becoming Miss Favre, she caught her husband speaking to another woman on the phone. Okay. Deanna recalled saying to her other half, to Brett, "You asked me to move up here to Green Bay, and now you're calling these girls. Well, you're on your own now. I'm not living this way. All this shit is over for me. Like, I'm done. This is crazy." Um, yeah, one of the assistant coaches for the Packers got his wife, though, to guilt Deanna into staying. Like, yeah, and Deanna's like, "Well, I really felt that if I left, Brett would just kill himself." Like, "No, he wouldn't, girl. He's
Oh
on the
my
phone with all
god!
these other women."
Because you heard from
Yeah,
someone else that he might do it, you didn't hear it from him? It's like, "I'm
and
fine."
and I was like, "Shame on those people from the Packers." Like, I know you got this golden goose just dropping eggs, but you guys should be ashamed of yourself. Like, you have just
Shit.
yeah, so I couldn't believe that. I was like, "What the fuck?" Anyways, um, yeah, so their plan worked and Deanna did stay, but it wasn't the end of the injustices in the marriage. Of course not. Although Favre worked through his addiction to Vicodin in the mid-1990s, he remained dependent on alcohol for several more years. In fact, it was only again when Deanna Favre issued an ultimatum that he finally stopped. The Green Bay Packers legend later explained on an episode of ESPN Classics Sports Century, "I was drinking and I was not the husband and I was not the father that I needed to be. My wife said, either you quit drinking or we're gone. We're done." And I said, "Okay,
I'm
I'm going to
actually
quit."
surprised that the Packers didn't step in and be like, "Your drinking's gonna be
Yeah.
a problem." Like, "Do you have it under
Yeah.
control?" type of deal.
They stepped in when it was time to like make Deanna feel bad. Like, let's maybe
Yeah.
Brett. Fucking anyway, so Brett headed to a rehab facility in 1998 and he has stuck to his word and he's remained sober ever since. So good for him on that. It does seem like he became, well, I don't know, better. I was gonna say a better husband and father, but I don't know. But he can, what he's great. He should be like, that is very great to kick. Those are two very hard things to kick, addictions. And he
Oh,
did
yeah.
that. So that's but his addiction to the opposite sex was far from over. Of course it was. In 2004, Deanna was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was pretty scary. I was really annoyed. I was listening to an interview that Brett was giving during this time, and Deanna had like she lost all of her hair, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna shave my head, or I'm shaving my head in honor of her." And they were like, "Oh, it's already grown back." And he's like, "No, I couldn't just like shave myself bald. I'm doing it gradually." What is that being so
I've seen how I looked with shorter hair first and then just a little bit shorter. What the hell?
okay, you suck. You suck. Deanna thankfully made a full recovery later, and she was talking to the Catholic Diocese of Green Bay's outlet, The Compass. I think that's like a little newsletter. That the series of family hardships during this time had actually brought her and Brett closer together. She wanted to say all the stuff we've been through over the years has molded us into two different people. It's awesome to think where we started and where we are now. Our relationship has gotten to a much stronger point, a deeper love, and we have so much respect and love for each other. This deep, strong bond, full of respect and love, was on full display in 2008 when Favre, now with the New York Jets, sent dick pics to a sideline reporter, Jenn Sterger.
Nothing like the good old unsolicited dick pic.
Nothing says I love my wife like an unsolicited dick pic to another woman. Brett Favre. Oh my god. So there is a newer Netflix documentary. It came out like in the last year, last 6 months, maybe even, and it's on Netflix. Untold: The Fall of Favre. And in this, it really focuses on this whole thing with Jenn Sterger at Steger, I think, at with the Jets, and he's sending her. She, in this documentary, claims Favre sent her a series of explicit text messages, social media messages, MySpace to be exact. Wow. And voicemails during his time on the team in 2008. I was at it. She says later, I was at a game and someone walked up to me and they said, "What would you say if I told you Brett Favre wanted your phone number?" And in the documentary, she said, "I think I like my job and I look a whole lot like his wife." And she does. In fact, in part of this documentary, they flash a pic of Deanna kissing Favre on the cheek after a game, and I thought it was this Jen girl. Like, I was like, "Oh my god, this is like Monica Lewinsky shit. Like, why do they have a picture of them together?" And then I was like, "Oh no, that's his wife." Like, they look I'll post it on social media. They look identical almost.
Oh,
It's
wow.
crazy. Yeah, so he has a type. I just like go home. I don't know. Yeah. So shortly after, Steger claimed that she received a MySpace messages from an account named Screaming Lord Byron. Okay. Um, the messages were allegedly sent from an individual claiming to be new to the team with gray hair, and that could only be Brett Favre's old ass, you know? So, and
Mhm.
he was interested in meeting up with her. Genuinely thought, she says later, I was being punked by my male coworkers because that's something that happened all the time. You know, she's like, this is not real. But then allegedly, she started receiving suggested text messages from an unknown individual saying things like, "Come over tonight," and offered to send Jenn Steger a car to pick her up to come over. As the text message barrage continued, Steger then started receiving voicemails. Voicemails were definitely when I was like, I'm in serious fucking trouble here, Steger said. She was like, "Oh no, it's like escalating." And she said, unless
But all
somebody
this
knew
is
how to.
still supposedly anonymous, right?
Right. He's never said, "I'm Brett
Okay.
Favre." Yeah. Unless somebody knew how to do a really good Brett Favre impression, like, she's like, "That's oh god, it's
I
him."
can do a
You
really good
know?
one.
Really.
I'm not gonna do it right now, but I can.
Let me practice and
I'll do it later. Okay.
okay. O Untold plays oh, yeah, on the documentary, The Untold Story of Brett Favre, they play one of the alleged voicemails with a voice that sounds like Favre's, allegedly telling Sterger he's going back to the motel and that he'd love to have her come over tonight. So, after Sterger says she's declined Favre's advances, he allegedly sent her a picture of his penis. Because that's
'Cause
what.
that's gonna do it.
Yeah, ew. So at the end of the season, though, Sturger's contract with the Jets was not renewed. Shocker, she says in the documentary. She pretty much went into hiding after the firing, but in 2010, she made the mistake of talking about her terrible time with the Jets to a Deadspin editor, and this must be like an online, I don't know, gossip thing. And she kind of started talking about it, and then because she thought that their conversation was off the record, like she said, "This cannot leave this room." She thought she was kind of talking to a friend. And against her will, this editor published the salacious details, in effect, ruining her life. Online trolls since then has slandered her and not Favre. And of this, she said, I think one of the reasons why it's so hard for people to have any empathy for me on the internet is because I'm just a picture to them. And he is Brett Favre. Like,
Yeah.
so
He's the golden boy.
she's like, no one knows who I am except for in this one respect, and he's Brett Favre. So
Yeah.
Brett Favre or not, the story made a number of other women come out too and say they had been sent similar material from Favre. Brett did go on to admit that he'd left Sterger the voicemails, but denied accusation that he had sent any dick pics because he's a good guy.
Kind of want to be like, okay, whip it out. Let's see. Let's do a comparison here.
We're putting it in a photo lineup.
You know,
But unsurprisingly, League didn't punish Favre for anything other than failure to cooperate with the investigation. $1,000. It is really annoying while researching this because a lot of the articles addressing the scandal and describing how he was sending her inappropriate shit are titled things like sexting allegations with Jenn Sterger or what happened between Brett and Jenn Sterger. Like the titles give this impression
like
or
nothing
insinuate that Jenn's
happened.
a willing participant. Yeah, she's not an unwanted, a victim of unwanted sexual harassment. So it's really hard when you're researching that. I'm like, my eyes twitching. She revealed that just 25 days after the scandal broke, the show she was working on, like she had been a sports commentator for a really long time, and she had just gotten her own show. She was like headlining her own show, and that was canceled when this stuff came out. Yeah. She said my life was
Everyone got
ruined, and
punished was her.
yeah, she said, "My life was ruined," and he went on to the Hall of Fame. And the media fans, everyone seems to do better about holding, or needs to do better about, like, holding men accountable, responsible for their actions, and that it just wasn't done at all in this. So, it doesn't sound like anybody else is gonna hold Brett Favre accountable for the things in his next big scandal, which is the Mississippi Swindle, which is such a great name. If you're gonna have a scandal, I love a good name.
That's a good one.
Like, I thought it was a dance. Like, that would
It
be a
could
great name.
be. You might be onto
Yeah,
something here.
yeah, I was like yeah, I'm like, "We should start that up." So, as I said earlier, Favre finally retires in 2000 and retreats back to
I
his home
lost
state of
you.
Mississippi to enjoy the quiet
You just
life.
froze on
And I
me.
am sure all that football money can go in
Something's
a long
happening.
way.
Wait, you gotta go back. You froze for like a good I don't
Oh,
know,
okay.
like 40 seconds there. So
Okay,
after
let's
the
go back.
Mississippi Swindle thing.
Okay. So, as I said earlier, Favre finally retires in 2011 and he retreats back to his home state of Mississippi to enjoy the quiet life. I'm sure all that football money can go a long way in a state like Mississippi, which is considered to be the poorest state in the nation, with a 19% of its population living in poverty. So, Mississippi's poor as hell. It's cheap
You know what you should
there,
do? We should just
Ah.
take all their money.
Yeah.
Wait,
You may be
that's what we're
onto
gonna
something
do.
here. Some other people also, yeah. So just for reference, most other states' poverty level hovers around 10%. And again, Mississippi is at 19%. So with a poverty level this high, there's only one reason why a huge amount of welfare funding from the federal government would be flowing into the state, right? To help its hungry citizens below the poverty line, right? Of course not. Its hit is actually because a major welfare fraud investigation from 2020 to 2023 in Mississippi, in which several high profile figures were implicated in allegations of misuse regarding the federal welfare funds. And I guess who's among those high profile figures? It's Brett Favre. Of course he needs more money.
He
Like,
didn't know anything about it. He didn't know anything about it. Had no
no,
knowledge of it.
he's never done anything wrong. He's good at the sports, so he's never done anything wrong. So what is the Mississippi welfare scandal? In a nutshell, it is on June 21st, 2019, following the conducting of an internal audit, concerned employees at the Department of Human Services informed Governor Bryant that agency funds may have been misspent. Yeah, maybe. Brandt forwarded this information to state auditor Shad White, and Shad White actually is the one who wrote a whole book on this, and it's called The Mississippi Swindle.
Oh, wait,
And that's
hold on real quick. It's Bo Jackson. It came to me. Bo Jackson did football and baseball. So continue.
thank you. I was like, not Bo
Sorry, it's
Jackson, Brett
driving me
Favre.
crazy.
That's so funny. No, glad you found it because I know in 2 days I'd been like, who was it?
I was like, who's what?
So, yes, the state auditor gets some information and he initiates an investigation. Heading up the Department of Human Services was John Davis, who was appointed to the position by Governor Bryant in 2016. These people, so same in Montana, when a new governor comes in, they like put their people leading these agencies. So he handpicked this guy. That'll
Yep.
be critical. John Davis caught wind of the investigation and announced his retirement really early the following month. Gonna move it up for like 20 years.
You know they were gonna fight.
That investigation learned that Mississippi between 2016 and 2019, more than $90 million was diverted from the TANF program, which is temporary assistance for needy families, to other entities. Notably, some of the money helped build a volleyball arena at the University of Southern Mississippi. Guess whose daughter was attending the university and playing football or volleyball? Of course.
I was gonna
So
say Ronald Reagan.
that is a good second guess, but, like, you really need to just steal welfare money to have this built? Like, just donate that to this
Yeah.
school if you want a good volleyball. Oh my god. The audit and subsequent investigation also found that through two nonprofits, several high-profile figures in the state were able to access these funds that were supposed to go to some of the neediest people in Mississippi. The two nonprofits, it was Mississippi Community Education Center, or the MCEC, which was run by Nancy New. Remember her, she will come up later. And the other was the Family Resource Center of North Mississippi. Among the audits flagged some questionable spending by the nonprofits that again are aimed at helping needy families in Mississippi. Families, oh my God. The two nonprofit groups use welfare money to hire lobbyists, often without paperwork describing the work they were supposed to do. MCEC gave contracts to and hired family members of John Davis, who is leading up Health and Human Services, sometimes making lump sum payments. The payments and salaries to his nephew and brother-in-law totaled more than 1 million over, I think it was 3 years. Wow, you guys aren't even trying to hide it.
Yeah.
Then this is another weird thing. Both nonprofit groups gave welfare money to a trio of wrestlers. Like,
Like WWE wrestlers?
I had
Yes.
Ted Ted DeBasey Jr. I don't know if I'm saying their last name right. Sorry, but not sorry, you're criminals. And Brett DeBasey, some of it for work never performed, some for unreasonable travel costs. I don't know what work they were having the professional wrestlers do for the nonprofits. I never really saw that. So, oh, here.
They were trying to do a midget wrestling fundraiser. Had to
They're like, they
travel
don't
around.
deliver. It's just like, what? Every time I would read something about this, I'm like, oh, we're getting weirder. We're getting weirder. So I think what they're paying the Victory Sports Foundation, which is run by these pro wrestlers, to run fitness programs, some of which Mississippi legislators and other officials and staffers participated in free of charge. The trainer who runs Victory said he did not know how he received welfare money that he had received. He was like, oh, I didn't know where the money was coming from. I was just getting paid. Whatever. So weird.
Most people know. You know, at one point in time, someone was like, "You know where you're getting money from, right?" You know, I don't. I
Like,
don't ever believe that no one knows or no one ever bothers
yeah,
to ask a question like that.
I feel like there's always somebody that needs to brag about like what big pieces of
Yeah.
shit they are and like
Yes,
how they're
exactly.
switch. Yeah. So shut up. Yeah. So MCEC bought 3 cars with the welfare money, each worth more than $50,000 for Nancy New and 2 of her sons. Salaries, cell phones, and other expenses were paid using the welfare money. The vehicles included a 2018, and this did happen in 2018. So brand new cars, a Nissan Altima, a Chevy Silverado, and a Ford F-250. In each case, the vehicle was registered to the nonprofit MCEC, but in each case, auditors said that the vehicles were only for personal use. No one was using these, like, around the nonprofit.
Yeah.
Um, MCEC used welfare money for sports-related purposes, including sponsoring a college basketball tournament and other NCAA events. So they're like, "You know what? We should this education community centers should sponsor college basketball tournaments or, like they're just spreading it all around. MCEC cut a $3,000 check to a bookkeeper of their nonprofit, though a handwritten note says 3,000 cash was given to Davis, again, the Department of Health Services executive director. So they're like cashing checks and then giving the money, cash to people who are basically the ringleaders of this. MCEC moved $6 million to a private school, an organization that was run by Nancy New, and bought supplies for the school. So she's like, I am an educator at heart. I'm going to make my own school for the needy people of Mississippi, and then steals welfare money to like fund her school, pay herself essentially.
Did she actually even start up a school?
I don't actually, I should have looked into that more. I think that it was an operating school. Like that's not what that's for.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're not even done. Yeah. So, along with funneling of welfare money through these two nonprofits, some of the welfare money was funneled to Brett Favre, both directly and indirectly. The
I didn't
money was
know.
applied. He didn't know. No one
He had no
ever
idea.
knows. They're getting stolen money. No one's ever like, this is stolen. Keep it quiet.
He was too busy sending dick pics. How would he have time to know about swindling money?
That's true. He is a busy guy. So that money was applied to causes Favre advocated for, like a new volleyball facility on the campus of his, old University of Southern Miss, where his daughter was going and playing sports. And like I said earlier, yeah, that his daughter was going to school there. Like you didn't have your own money to whatever. The former
Right?
quarterback also allegedly directed some of the funds to defunct pharmaceutical company Prevacus, which he was an investor to. In these instances, Favre claimed to not know where the money came from. He didn't
Told
know.
ya. He
He
had
didn't
no
know.
idea.
He had
No
no idea.
idea.
Except for in some unearthed text messages, it seems he really fucking knows where the money's come. So, for example, Favre texted MCEC director Nancy New in August of 2017. If you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much? Bruh,
Wow. So I did look
when
up
John
his net worth, and in 2025, Brett Favre is still worth $100 million.
right? You don't need welfare money, you motherfucker. God. So when John Davis, the Department of Human Services, jumped ship by retiring after learning of the
Mhm.
investigation, texted the governor of the fucking state, and said, how would it being Davis's departure and the appointing of a new director who is, as they are, I'm sure he's wondering, are they as shady as the last guy? How would it impact the funding for the volleyball facility? So
So
he
they're
fucking
like,
knows.
what?
Yeah.
Volleyball
He does.
facility.
Yeah. Governor Bryant, against the governor of the state, says, I can handle that. Long story, but I have to make a change. Essentially, of like who is going to be coming in to take this position or maybe refund. We don't know exactly. Maybe it was just like refunneling the volleyball money into somewhere else. I don't know. But he says, I will call Nancy and see what it'll take. So the governor is like, don't worry, Brett Favre. We're going to still steal money for you.
We got your back, buddy.
Yeah. So these text messages prove that both Favre and Bryant knew about John Davis and his shady, using his position as the director of human services to divert money. And they knew exactly where it was going, to Brett Favre's pockets and projects. So that is how Favre got some of the money indirectly, but he also has some of this welfare money going straight into his pockets. As the investigation uncovered that Favre received $1.1 million from that fund in speaking fees for events that he never attended. They're like, here's your thanks for speaking at our conference, but you don't have to show up.
If you could just send everybody dick pics, that'd be great.
Yeah. If we could just get copies of your text messages to your mistresses, that'll be enough. Thanks. I will say that Favre did pay that money back, I guess, if we're being completely clear. He did pay it back,
Oh.
but he allegedly did not return the $730,000 in interest that the Mississippi Department of Human Services says that he owes on top of that. So he is currently being sued by the state of Mississippi for the money and interest that he owes to them. So at least he has to go through that. But he continues, Favre, just as we've said, he didn't know where the money was
Get no
from.
idea.
He had no
Bless
idea.
his heart.
with his whole chest. He was like, I am innocent. I'm Brett Favre. You guys remember me from the Wrangler commercials? Don't do this. So, in a 2022 statement, Arv moaned, I have been unjustly smeared in the media. I have done nothing wrong, and it is past time to set the record straight. And no one ever told me, and I did not know that the funds designated for welfare recipients were going to the university or me for speaking engagements I didn't show up to. He's sad. Oh, these are brought to you by the same artist known for I didn't send no dick pics. Okay. But Brett, sweetie, the text between you and the high-ranking officials, like the ones who were doing the crimes, I don't know. It just seems like maybe you did know.
Yeah. It kind of implicates you.
But he did not stop there. And in a bid that can only be seen as trying to save his money-stealing ass, Favre testified in front of Congress's White House Ways and Means Committee about advocating for additional ways to protect TANF funds in 2024. This motherfucker.
That whole thing kind of reminds me of the O.J. Simpson, like O.J. Simpson didn't kill, blah, blah, blah. But
Right.
then he wrote the book, If I Had Done It, This Is How I Would Have Done It. So it kind of seems like Brett Favre was like, if I had stolen money, this is how I would have done it. So this is what you should do to protect yourselves.
Exactly. Oh my God. He's like, I know I stole that money, but you guys need to like watch it better. That's on
Yeah, like
you.
it's your fault
Yeah.
for not
Yeah.
keeping track of it better.
You made it so easy for me. Why wouldn't I steal it? Oh my God. So yeah, he went to the OJ Simpson school of appearing, innocent.
Like
This
basically
appears,
admitting your guilt without admitting your guilt.
yeah, yes, he's Alfred pleading that shit right to the, oh man. So this appearance was very self-serving as he used this stage to reiterate that he was innocent of all wrongdoing. And he used this opportunity to announce his Parkinson's diagnosis. So noting, because of the welfare misappropriation scandal's discovery, I lost a lot. I lost an investment in a company that I believe was developing a breakthrough concussion drug through what I thought would help others. And I'm sure you'll understand why it's too late for me because I've recently been diagnosed with Parkinson's. So he's like, yeah, he has this company that he's investing in called Prevacus Corporation, and they received roughly $2 million in these welfare funds. But Brett Favre's football career and his self-serving Parkinson's announcement must have people believing his claims of innocence. So he goes to the White House or wherever, Capitol Hill, and he's like, I lost so much money because this company that was taking money from welfare people to do research on concussions. And I've seen varying things if concussions are linked to Parkinson's. I've seen some things that say no and other things that are like, maybe. So he's like, I lost all this money being an investor for in this company that was stealing welfare funds, and now I have Parkinson's. He's like, I am the victim. I am the victim.
Look what happened. They weren't able to do their research, and now
But
I'm
I
fucked.
think, yeah. And I think even I didn't know that he had Parkinson's. Maybe I did. I don't know. But I feel like him going up to Capitol Hill to testify about this actual, like, huge thing, people walked away with it was like, Brett Favre has Parkinson's, not like Brett Favre was involved in this huge
Yeah,
fucking
it's
fraud
stealing all this
case.
money from welfare and everything. But,
Yeah.
but oh
They're
my
just
god,
like,
that's all they took out.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, wow, things are just, wow. Why wouldn't he just steal half of the money in the state? Because he has, oh, makes me so mad. So the current state of things, thankfully, a fuck ton other people have been charged. Again, Brett Favre is super innocent. But John Davis, the former director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, pleaded guilty to federal and state charges in connection with the Mississippi welfare fraud scandal. He was sentenced to 32 years in state prison in order to pay restitution. So at least they got John Davis, which I don't even know if I've seen a picture of him. I probably have, but I just imagine him as this like portly little tiny dude. And he's like smoking cigars all the
Balded.
time, stealing from the poor. Like that's just um Nancy New pleaded guilty to monetary transactions with the proceeds of a specific unlawful activity that is wire fraud. That count carries a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison and a maximum fine of $250,000. Knew her son pleaded to the same thing, and he has a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison and the same fine. I could not find what they have actually I don't, it says that they've been sentenced to something, but I can't find what they've been sentenced to.
Okay.
It's the weird. I'm like, what are Nancy and Zach? What is the repercussions? Like, I know what they're being threatened with, but I can't find if they've been threatened with anything, if they've been sentenced to anything. So, no idea on that one. On March 2nd, 2023, Brett DeBias pleaded guilty to one federal charge of conspiracy to defraud the United States. And as of January 2026, so just last month, he has yet to be sentenced for this charge, and he awaits his sentencing hearing. So, and that's been 3 years now. 3 years he's been waiting. Bless you.
Thank you.
His brother Ted is currently on trial starting in January 2020. But on January 20th, 2026, one of DeBase's lawyers opted to seek a mistrial after his head or lead defense lawyer, Scott Gilbert, was now in poor health. And due to Gilbert's poor health, DeBase's trial is now stalled. And there's no, so I'm like, okay, well, some people have been charged. And other people, they're like, oh, we don't know. We'll get to it.
See, that's the thing about this though, is this is all white collar crime.
Oh, yeah.
So these guys, like
Yeah.
even the Jonathan Davis guy that got sentenced to the,
Yeah.
32 years in restitution and everything, like if
Oh,
he
no.
does 4 years, it'll be amazing. And he's
That
never
is great.
gonna fucking pay that restitution. Like
No!
restitution is something the court can order, but they can't actually enforce payments for it.
Right,
So
that's what I'm and whenever I hear has to pay restitution, I'm like, "Mhm, I bet they will."
mhm, yeah.
So, Mississippi Representative Benny Thompson said in Netflix Untold documentary, Brett Favre, with his name, ID, reputation, could have done a lot of good for the state like Mississippi, his home state, but he didn't. He took advantage of the people who are on that path and struggling. Brett, while dodging the law, stays busy, especially in 2024 when he spoke at a rally supporting his golfing buddy, Donald Trump. He was all up there, Parkinson's or not. He was like, vote, vote, vote. And this relationship between him and Trump undoubtedly has its benefits for Favre, because just last week, Trump said that he was pulling funding for welfare in the blue state of Minnesota, like you mentioned earlier, after the
Mhm.
recent discovery of welfare fraud. But he said he would give a pass for the red state of Mississippi, home to his good friend, Brett Favre. So it seems to be working out pretty well, that friendship for him.
Yeah.
It is unclear, though, how much longer Mississippi will be the home of Brett Favre, because just in April of last year, the former quarterback listed his sprawling home and farm for $14 million, the Wall Street Journal reported, making it the most expensive property in the state, which
Damn.
isn't hard. Again, they're one of it's dubbed the Black Creek Farm, and it's a 465-acre property that has served as the primary residence for Favre, his wife Dina, probably some of his mistresses, who fucking knows, and their two
Yeah.
daughters, since the late 1990s. Yeah. It just houses all of his dick pics. Favre said Black Creek Farm has been the heart of our family for over 20 years. And it's where we raised our
So why is he
family and
selling
gathered.
it?
Yeah, it seems because he bled that state dry, he's gotta find another one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I suppose being sued by the state is one reason to get the hell out of Dodge, but other than that civil suit brought by the state of Mississippi, Brett Favre has had no repercussions for his involvement in the Mississippi welfare scandal. Nothing. There's been
If he
nothing.
didn't know, I don't know how many times they have to tell you that.
Didn't know. I know there's text messages, but that's nothing. Oh, and I mean, he's probably like, yeah, why would I have repercussions? He's never had repercussions for his sexual harassment against numerous women. Why would I have any consequences for my actions now? So,
Yeah.
Nina Kimes, one of ESPN's most prominent football reporters, called Favre a disgrace on the network's popular roundtable discussion show Around the Horn in 2022. She went on to say, what Brett Favre did wasn't just stupid, it was cruel. And it tarnishes a legacy that quite should have already been diminished. So she did not hold
Ooh.
back. She was like, Are any of y'all surprised? So that is the story of Brett Favre. And yeah, you should, no matter how well someone plays football or if they're your hero or whatever, like leaving them unchecked and not holding them accountable only escalates their terrible fucking behavior. So that's a good lesson from the story of Brett Favre.
But he's real good at sports, so, you
Yay,
know,
sports. Yay, sports.
get a pass sometimes.
Yeah. When I started researching this, I was definitely just like on the road of Mississippi Swindle. Like I learned a little bit about that. And then every time I clicked on something, it was like, he also did this.
And this, and this. I don't have my little note card, so I don't know what to say now.
Well, that's okay. You just wave at the end. I'll say it.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed that sports themed, even though it
I
was being mean to
did.
sports guy. Oh my gosh. So thank you so much for listening to Storyteller. Tell your friends and join us on Instagram at storyteller.pod, TikTok at storytellerpod, Facebook at Storyteller Podcast, and be sure to like, follow, comment, and download the podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
All right.
Yay.